everybody. As the video lecture series is going on the platform of Sardar Patel University from Meerut, this video lecture series is the continuation part of the part 1, that is introduction to the alcoholic beverages, and for the portal of aggregation, initiative of government learning platform. So, in this presentation, this is a brief and manufacturing and processing of beer, how it is going to manufacture and process. This is another table of content for this presentation that we have read, that is introduction, history, manufacturing, types, uses, industrial and economical impacts, health impacts, followed by a conclusion. Proceeding in the slide, what is beer? Beer is, as we all know, defined as a fermented alcoholic beverage majorly made from the barley, rice, wheat. It could be the other sources also, and flavored with the hops with fermentation of the yeast. The alcoholic content of the beer, always known as ABV, which depends on the type of the beer and the manufacturing processes. Followed by that, the most common producing states of the alcoholic beverage among the beer, that is United States, having the alcoholic percent of 5 to 6%. It could be having the same alcohol in the beer. Now there are some commonly available beers that are present in the market under different names. So first one is the light beer, and what is the ABY? Initially going to the ABY, let's understand what is ABY. ABY is the alcohol by volume, and it is also represented in the percent and the proofs. If say for example a beer is having a percent of 40%, then the proof is going to be 80%. It is just the exact double amount of the percent. So light beers are going to have 4 to 5% of ABY. Regular beers are having 5 to 6%. Craft beers 6 to 10%. Strong beers 15% or more. But it is manufactured in very restricted countries for the rare consumption. Along with that, ales are having 4% of ABY. German beers 4.7 to 5.47 of 5.4% of ABY. Block beers and double beers are having 16% of ABY, and Chinese beer having 3% of the ABY. Now, what is a standard drink and how we going to calculate the amount of actual percentage of alcohol and its ABY? Say for example, a standard drink of the US is having 14 grams of pure alcohol, which is present initially in it. Now, if a 12 ounces of regular beer is having 5% alcohol, 5 ounces of wine, which is having 12% of alcohol, and 1.5% of distilled spirit, which is having 40% alcohol. Now let's get a pictorial representation. If beer is having 340 ml, that is 12 ounces, containing 5% alcohol, followed by the cider or cooler, that is having 341 ml of drink, that is having 5%, wine 142 ml, 12%, and distilled alcohol is having 43 ml and 40% of alcohol. There is a dramatic change in the ml and the percent of the alcohol content from beer to the distilled alcohol. Distilled alcohol include rye, gin, vodka, rum, etc. Now this is again as per the serving size. If a beer is being traveled on a cane and having a 5% alcohol, that is having a 12 ounces. Then 7% of the alcohol in a glass, then it is having 8 to 12 malt of liquor. Then 5 ounces of liquid wines, that is having 12% of alcohol. 17% of alcohol goes to fortified wines, not with the table. Now, cordial or liquor or aperitif. Aperitif is a drink that is consumed before the consumption of the food to make it more digestible. It is having approximately 24% of the alcohol. Increasing with the product, if we go to brandy and cocktail, the 40% of the alcohol concentration is there, and again the 40% is alcohol concentration is equivalent to the tequila, vodka, whiskey, and gin. Now, history of beer. There are fight constantly going on from 6000 BCE. There are developed countries, USA, Russia. They are constantly having a debate on the topic. Yes, it is the production of our country, but the data is still controversial. But again, finally, say for example, the term beer has been given in 16th century with the addition of the hops. Now, beer get the name from the Anglo-Saxon word known as beer, which means to the barley. Followed by that, in England, beer drinking hubs or pubs are originated, which are representing the signboards of the kings or king's head or king roosters. Interestingly, there is a beer alcoholic beverages, especially the beer, majority of the one also contains the same, and it is having the biological name of cardiac bulgaria. It can be used for the production of combination of wheat, rice, and maize, and many others. And it is when the small amount of barley is being and the broken in the form and is being used, it is known as adjunct. Now, it is can be only used up to the 35% of the production house, but it also lowers the cost, lowers the body of the beer. Now, German beers are made from 100% barley. That is why it is giving the word name Regenbost, which means 100% of the command. That is purity of the command. Now, why to select the barley? It is cheaply available. It does not use as a staple diet. It is having very low content of the protein that might not cause the cloudiness. And excess of the barley is present can cause cloudiness. And that's a step to remove the cloudiness from the beer from the final production. It is protective sheet which protect the grain from contaminations, and it has two major enzymes, that is systase to convert the insoluble starch to the soluble starch, and diastase to convert the soluble starch further to the sugar. Hops. This is the second ingredient which is biologically known as limonous. It is a cone or a flower from the female plant which is obtained by the perennial herb, which is a hop vine. Hops are grown in the format of the vines. These are the vines of the 20 feet in the height, and hops are grown in such manners. So, what is the basic purpose? These are the cone and the female flowers of the beer making species, and it produces a thick yellow substance known as lupulin. Lupulin contains an alpha amino acids, that is humanoids, and isoacids that contribute in the flavor and antiseptic and preservative properties of the hops that are added in the beer making process. Now, cone is also known as straw, while petals are known as bracts. Cones are the light green, having the 60 to 80% of the moisture content. Further, they are dehydrated in the chamber known as post house, and best of the hops are Bavarian hops, comes from the Germany and Czechoslovakia. Further, in India, especially hops are grown in Himachal Pradesh. Now, these are some of the popular brandings of the hops that are grown and used in the brewery industry, such as Brewer's Gold, Northern Brewer's Struggles, Bavarian Hops, Sense, Secret, Perry, and Progress, Tradition, and Cascade. Why is the reason to add the hops in the beer making process? The first and the foremost is the flavor, preservatives, antiseptics, aroma, and clarifying agent. These are the vines of the hop. Just like the grape is grown in the vines, hops are also grown in the similar pattern of the manner. Now, third is the yeast. Yeast is the microorganism that is the basic cause for the fermentation for the sugar and your water. In 1857, Louis Pasteur, father of the yeast, also explained the basic and detailed function of how it is formed and how it is actually converting sugar and to the alcohol with the help of water and releasing the CO2. These are two basic yeast varieties that has been yeast strains that has been used: Saccharomyces cerevisiae and Saccharomyces calcium. Now, Saccharomyces cerevisiae is basically used for the top fermenting yeast that works on 15 to 90 degrees Celsius, and after the fermentation, it remains at the top of the pot. That is why it is known as top fermenting yeast, and beer is normally taken at 15 to 19 degrees Celsius, that is of Saccharomyces cerevisiae. While in Saccharomyces calcium, it is a bottom fermenting yeast that is also that works on 2 to 6 degrees Celsius, and after the fermentation process, it usually settles at the bottom of the pot, that is served at 4 to 5 degrees Celsius. Emil Hessen developed this yeast in 1883 by isolating the strains from the single cell of yeast Carlsberg in brewery of Denmark. That is why it is known as Saccharomyces calcium. Now, another ingredient is water and sugar. We all know the beer and alcoholic beverage does contain water, but up to what percent? The percent of water is approximately 90 plus minus 4 to 5% of the water. The quality of the mineral affects actually the percent in the body of the brewery. Example, liquor, the people who makes the alcoholic beverage, brewers are given the term water to the liquor. Water contains 6 main salts, that is what? Carbonate, sodium, bicarbonate, chloride, magnesium, and sulfate. What is the role of these salts and how this is actually affected? High level of carbonate is there that produces the acidic mash. If the mash becomes acidic in the beer production, the extraction of sugar from the malts will be difficult. Too much sulfur is there, then the bitterness is imparted in the alcoholic beverage. And if magnesium is high, then essential development functioning of the yeast is being hindered. Followed by sugar. It is to use to speed up the fermentation process, reduce the bitterness, give the color of the beer. It could be a light beer, it could be a dark beer, it could be a caramelized beer, it could be a non-caramelized beer, depending on the strength of the sugar that has been provided for aiding milling, sieving, grinding, extraction of sugar with the fusion, decoction, followed by brewing kettle, hop back and hop extractions, followed by fermentation, terraform, lagering, fining, carbonation, bottling, and pasteurization. So what is this picture representing? This picture is actually representing the color of the beer, that is brown ale, lambic, pale, Belgian, Irish, malt and stout, German, European, American Pilsner, followed by bitter, IPA, strong and American, and these pictorial data are collected from beer advocate. Now this is the actual process flow from farm to farm, how the beer is being processed. So we have taken the malt from the grains, these have been sent to the hammer mill, mash tun. In the previous video we have already discussed in a brief what is the beer manufacturing process, but this is again a pictorial representation just to revise the concept. Then it is sent to the mash kettle, lauter and wort kettle. In wort kettle we add the hops. Followed by that there is a whirlpool tank to mix the addition of hops and the previous containers. It is sent to the cooler. This cooler is a type of plate heat exchanger. Why only plate heat exchanger? So the surface area could be enhanced and the cooling would be retained much earlier. Further, after the certain cooling, they will send to the fermentation tank with the addition of the yeast. Further, used yeast had been filtered out and it is sent to the resting tank. After the resting tank, filtration, bottling and packaging has been done on the beer. Now, these are the types of ale and types of the lager that are commonly used in the beer production. And types of ale are barley wine, Belgian ale, brown, dark, Colts, mild, pale, wheat and old ale. Followed by that, what is the actual type of beer? You have to select for your own preferences, cost and its benefits. Now, these are the types of lager beer. Bock. In Bock we have double black, ice bock, mild bock and raisin bock. Dunkin, Marzen, pale lager we have Dortmund, dry, Hales, Pilsner and Spicer. In Swissberg, Venia and Carlsberg. These are the actual beer colors that has been representing in this picture with a diagrammatic view of what a beer and what it actually looks after the serving, along with the amount of carbonation that has been represented in the pictorial form. Now, again, what is beer classification? In the bottom fermented beer, we are having a previous gist. What is beer bottom fermented? First one is the lager, bock beer. Now, what is lager? Lager is being generally developed by the Germans in 1840 with the word coming to the lager means to store, and it is applied to the bottom fermented beer, which particularly because it has a stored temperature for a prolonged period of time, usually done in the caves and stored in the caves for the completion of the fermentation process. They are bright yellow to goldish in color, having a tint and light to medium body, while they are usually well carbonated. Otherwise, in the United States, most of the 92% of the beer is of lager type, and they are usually served at a temperature of 38 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. In Bock beer is again a German beer, which Bock means male port, which represents production around 1200 AD. But again, there is a spring and seasons type which affect the beer production, and so when the consumption increases, we go with the artificial methods. And Bock beer is usually quite dark in the color with an intense, sharp, sweet aroma, and they have a full body. They have a mild body comparison. They have a full body comparison, and followed by slightly sweet and a musty taste in their body. It is a strong version, but when the strong version of the Bock beer is produced only in the Germany in the name of Doppelbock, served again at 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, dark beer. It is characterized with the presence of very dark color and deep and full bodied flavor with a creamier taste with the overtone of the malts and bitterness that has been imparted with the sweetness and the caramel colors. Now, it is again served as the 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. It could be done with the addition of roasted barley, but again in a certain and controlled environmental condition. Communal beer, it is a beer of Germany, and it is reported to that it is having 14% of alcohol by volume. That is slightly higher, and it is not usually served in United States. It is served at 38 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, light beer. It is produced with the dilution of the regular beers, or it could be produced with the addition of enzymes or number of calories could be light. Exemplarily, if a beer is having calorie content of 135 to 170 calories, the light beer is having a calorie content of under 100 calories, and it is ideally served at 35 to 45 degrees Celsius. Now again, malt liquor. Malt liquor is considered a higher level of alcohol, and it is mostly consumed for the lager and the ales. The names come from the malty flavor, which overtones the bitterness. Why we need to overtone the bitterness? Because slightly more darker than the Pilsner type beers and milder and lesser bitter in taste as compared to German beers. So again, we have a comparison of German beers and US beers. German beers are heavier, stronger, milder and stronger body, while on the opposite tone, US beers are having a less body and a less colored tone. Now, Pilsner beer. It is a two type. It is a popular beer produced around the world, and Pilsner is coming from the French town of Pilsen, which means characteristics of a light golden color, which is highly pronounced from the hops. Now, again, it is delightfully clean, crisp and taste, refresh taste that is ideally served to 38 to 45 degrees. Now, this is the top fermented beer, which is usually, as we have already discussed what is top fermenting beers, and one of them is ale. Ale is slightly darker than the lager, which is usually has more hops in its aroma in itself. Taste is often and lower in carbonation as compared to the lager type of beer. Ale is usually bitter to the taste and slightly having a tanginess on the tongue. But ales are usually fermented at a warmer temperature as compared to the lagers, and that is temperature range is 6 to 70 degree Fahrenheit with 3 to 5 days and generally mature faster and served at 38 to 45 degree Fahrenheit. Cream ale, it is a blend of lager and the ale beers, and it is having a high rate of carbonation as compared to the other beers with a strong and rich effervescence, and it is usually served at 38 to 45 degree. Again, porter. It is the predecessor of the stout. Stout and porter are the types of beers. Again, characterized by the intense dark color, persistence and bitter sweet aroma and the taste. It is lower in alcohol as compared to the stout, while it should be usually served at 55 degree Fahrenheit as done by Ralph Harwood in 1729 in London Brewer, who named it after the porter that is named as porter beer. Stout. It contains a dark, almost bitter color or black color that is obtained from the roasted barley, which is very high to the extract level, and having the roasted barley which is rendered sterile process before the germination of the enzymatic activity, and a small amount of malt is further added for the flavor acceptance, which is intense bitterness and underlying the sweet taste. It is again served as the 55 degree Fahrenheit. Whiskey beer. This is the German beer which is bagged from predominantly wheat. This is not from the barley. This is from the wheat. This is the basic source, and it is usually unfiltered, contains some yeast cells residue, and therefore it is having a cloudy appearance in the final serve. It is being served at 38 to 45 degree Fahrenheit. Now, what is the beer production process and how it is actually affecting the environment of the entire earth? So, in this process, with the increase of the consumption across the globe, there is a certain responsibility falls on each one's shoulder to look for what they are recycling and what they are using. So again, regulation of the raw material used in beer manufacturing is moderating to avoid the unbalanced utilization of the natural resources, followed by raw material used in the packaging such as beer cans, beer bottles, beer labels, having and harvesting elements like fertilizers, transport element, fuels that has been used for the transportation of long cold chain preservation methods during the transportation is consuming a huge amount of fuels that is also generating toxic gases released from the vehicles and contribute the negative effect on the sustainable development. If we are generating a huge amount of revenue from the beers and alcoholic beverages, then we should also look for the factors that are actually contributing towards the deteriorating of the environmental factor. Followed by this, around the mentioned element, thermal energy is also released during the processing of the beer, such as your brewing process, malting, beer production contributes the opposite effect to the sustainable development. And these things should be kept in the mind for a sustainable and better development of the environment. What is the relation between beer and health? There are studies show that the beer consumption is a socio-economical prospects of a man's mind, and these are actually affecting the health. Say for example, the beer consumption is deteriorating the lifespan of a person by 10 years in a row if a person is a heavy drinker, just only for the beers, not for the other alcoholic beverages. But there is again no relation of the beer consumption with the mortality yet. It is a controversial data, but again, it needs to be clarified with the scientific data and the research that need to modify what is the actual relation of beer over the health. Somebody calls it a beer belly, but no, beer belly is not only the sign of beer, but again, it's a sign of your health, your potato couch lifestyle and what you are putting inside your body as in the form of food and beverages. Beer production and its waste recycling. Why it is recyclable manner. This is the conclusion. It is the third most train that has been